Today we're going to talk a little bit about branding and positioning. Those are the two most common words you hear in marketing today, branding and positioning. So really, what's the difference between the two? They're usually mixed up, swapped out for each other. So today I'm just going to give you an idea exactly what each of them are and how they compare and which one you should be using, etc. First of all, I like to think of branding. Let's look at branding first. Branding as math. If you take your brand name and you add to that, or you multiply your brand name by 250,000 impressions, in other words, 250,000 people see or hear your name, your brand name, you're going to achieve something that's called recognition. And recognition is something you want. Why? Because recognition creates a situation where people in your target market are 2 to 3 times more likely to buy it, because they're 2 to 3 times more likely to buy something or choose something if it's a product or service that they recognize versus one they don't. So basically you're creating recognition through repetition. Seems like a simple way to look at branding, and in some ways that's what branding is. People make it too complicated. Branding is a lot of it, once you've got your logo, etc., is creating repetition with it so you get recognition. What about positioning? I like to connect positioning to language. It uses words a lot to help you explain your product or position your product or service in someone's mind. In other words, it helps you differentiate your product or service from the competition. It gives you an impression of the position or rank that that product or service has as compared to the competitor. And that's really what you're looking for. It also uses words to add some attributes to your product's image, like innovative, exciting, unique, etc. Those attributes can be added through words, and that's what positioning typically is. It uses words to add some attributes to it and create a ranking in your mind as compared to competitors' products. So in the simplest terms, I would say look at branding as telling you what to buy, whereas positioning tells you why to buy it. Branding tells you what to buy, positioning tells you why to buy it. Now each of those has components. Branding has components like name, logo, symbol or icon, there's colors, there's styles, and brand managers, their job is to get those components in front of as many people in the target audience as possible, and that's what they try to do. There's also components for positioning. For example, as I mentioned, a tagline or positioning statement. That could be your tagline, like the famous "Just Do It." I hope one day your tagline's that famous. And words of image and images that support your ranking in front of the target audience. Those are the components of positioning. Now let's look real quick at some examples of positive positioning. Walmart, of course, is known for low prices, and that's how you're always going to have them in your mind, and that's a good thing for them. Target also is positioned as lower prices, but some cool stuff. So it's a little bit different positioning. BMW, of course, is positioned as high performance machines, and Apple is positioned as innovative, high tech, and quality, as they have been for quite a while. How about negative positioning? Are there examples of negative positioning, and who would want negative positioning? Well, you don't want negative positioning for you, but you want negative positioning for your competition. Probably this year, this is 2016, we have the best example of negative positioning, or the worst example, depending on your point of view, that you could possibly see. And that was when Donald Trump was running for president in the primaries and was facing multiple competitors. And what he did was he used negative positioning to position his competitors in a negative light. Very effective, devastatingly effective. He positioned Jeb Bush as low energy Jeb. He positioned Marco Rubio as little Marco for being petty. He positioned Ted Cruz as Lion Ted, and I'll tell you what, it was very, very effective. Now you have to understand that his attacks, that was negative positioning, was helped by the branding math that I talked about in the first part of this video, and that is he had millions of impressions every time he used that negative branding or that negative positioning. So he was helped by the branding math of repetition. That negative positioning was repeated over and over and over again, and it stuck and it worked to his benefit. So that's kind of a short and sweet view of it, but again, I think we complicate branding and positioning too much, and you hear 50,000 different sorts of definitions for branding and positioning. But again, branding is more what to buy, positioning is more why to buy it. But really, I just want you to understand that branding and positioning both have a very powerful effect on desirability, on demand, and really ultimately on the sales of a product or service. And once you understand the differences between branding and positioning, then you could use both to make your marketing perhaps twice as effective.